What is the relationship between contemporary art and public space? That's what we continue to investigate at the Public Art Agency Sweden. We do that in the form of temporary interventions, integrated permanent commissions, as well as artist participation in urban development projects. In various forms, we continue to discuss the relationship between art and public space. Here in the conference between dissent and discipline in Malm.
So I'm going to suggest that we forget the idea of the public, and in this forgetting begin to enact a radical gesture of social and spatial transformation that we, as artists, curators, writers, commissioners, producers, funders, are in a unique position to re-perform.
In connection with the Gothenburg Biennial, we produce a project where Santiago Ceregueda created a parasite on another building.
All together. Okay, give me 1 second.
Produced by people who are helping to build together. And then Lulu Cherinet created a project where people were in groups, were talking about the notion of being included, which is opposing a term of exclusion, which is being very used in current Swedish politics. At the Public Art Agency Sweden, we continue to explore what art in public space can be. We invited Romanian choreographer and artist Alexandra Pirici to create a new commission. She came up with Monument to Work, a performative piece based on the movements of factory workers. This is the first in a series investigating the shifts in industrial society, curated by Lisa Rosendahl. And the second work was made by Annika Eriksson in the small city of Grängesberg.
Stackars dig. Du är fan inte klok.
In the very north of Sweden, the city of Kiruna is at this moment being moved. The entire city is moved because the mine is growing underneath the city. We invited a group of artists to look at how they could create a kind of memory of the houses that are being torn down in the place which is between the city and the mine. They took the masses of the torn down houses and created a sculptural landscape where people who used to live there can now go back and revisit the place where they used to live. This is an example of how the art agency involves artists in larger urban development projects. Just before Lina Selander represented Sweden in the Venice Biennial, she opened a work for the art agency in a laboratory for light experiments. She wanted to use the material of film, which is also light, and created this film which was projected onto the facade of the building. A permanent work which is invisible. In the new School of Architecture in Stockholm, Jonas Dahlberg has installed a piece which creates an imaginary architecture. In invisible loudspeakers placed in the ceiling, when you walk in, suddenly you will hear the voice of a person telling you a memory of a room in a film. The entire work takes place in your mind as you imagine those spaces within the larger space of the School of Architecture.
The street or the sidewalk was neat and clean. More and more pieces of paper whirled around. They stuck to the man's body. He tried to pull them off, but there was just more and more sticking to him. By the end, he was totally covered.